Can you do that?
I'm trying to pronounce this.
Dr. Boone, Dr. Jolly, how y'all doing?
Doing good. How are you doing, sir?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Doing good.
What are we looking down at here?
Some evidence I'll look at in just a minute.
Oh, okay.
We doing the interns? Yeah. Okay. About that, I guess.
Oh, did y'all have a good fourth?
Yes. Good afternoon, everybody.
Hey, Doc.
Hey,
You doing
Lenore.
okay?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. You?
Yeah, I'm doing great.
Go for it. It is really, really loud.
Yeah, other than dropping my phone in Greer's Ferry, I had a good fourth.
Oh no.
Oh, wow.
Did
And
you
my
get it
wallet
back?
and my keys. No.
Oh, and your keys. Ooh,
Yeah.
not good.
No.
I'm sorry to hear that. Mm.
No, it was about 45 feet of water. It was at
Oh,
the boat slip, which is really deep. And anyway. So if I had your phone number, I don't have it anymore.
Bummer.
okay.
If you would like to send me a text message and say this is Lynn Krause or this is Clint Buck or this is Lenore Newsom, that would be great.
All right, we'll do that for you.
We don't want to upset your tranquility now. I mean, you may like not having a phone.
I've got a phone now. I've got a new phone.
So
Oh,
have you been
right.
getting along okay? New number and everything, or same number?
Same number. Yeah.
So how many times did you check your hand for your phone the night you lost it, or the day you lost it?
It felt, it just feels weird not to have your phone, right?
What's yours? Because I see your phone.
And I only had to go about 16 hours without a phone, but still it's hard.
Mhm.
Thanks, Lynn. I just got your text.
It's the nicest thing I could think of.
We probably don't want to know what he said then.
So I just said, "What's up?"
He just said, "What's up?"
Oh, okay.
Oh, Brenda. Thank you, Brenda. Thank you, Lenore. Thank you, Clint.
Yeah, that should show up.
Oh, I forgot to tell you that was me.
Oh. Well.
Was that you, Debbie?
Yes, 633, or I can send it again.
No, I got it.
Sorry.
I got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We got to get to a place I can pull over, I guess, if we're going to have evidence.
So weird.
Lenora, are you over in?
And I can't turn that down either.
I'm in El Dorado today. I'm
Y'all getting any
actually
weather?
Speakers.
not yet. Just cloud, and gosh, it's so humid.
I know it's a great day if you're a mosquito.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear us from the board offices?
Yes, sir.
All right. We're trying to figure out what, for some reason, our TVs in here aren't showing what we can see on our computer screens. And we're trying to turn the volume down because every time one of you guys talks, it's about 120 decibels in here. So give us just 1 second. should be the media.
Thank you, Beth Ann.
Yeah, we're not exactly sure what's going on.
Mute.
Did we hang up and try to call back in?
No, it's fine. We're just gonna have to run it from, here you go. We don't know how to turn it up for some reason. Anyway, we are good though. If you guys can see us here, we have the ability for Ashley to share her screen and we can get started. Does that work? I think that since Dr. Richmond is gone, I think Dr. Jolly is chairperson. You're gonna run this one for us.
Okay. All right, so it's 2:05 p.m. On July the 8th. This is an emergency hearing of the Arkansas State Board of Pharmacy. We'll do just a quick roll call. Dr. Lynn Krause.
Present.
Dr. Clint Boone.
Present.
Dr. Debbie Mack.
Present.
Dr. Beth Ann Davenport.
Present.
Mr. Harold Simpson. Present. Thank you. And Dr. Lenore Newsom.
Present.
All right, so we have 6 members here, so we do have a quorum. And I'll turn it over to Dr. Kirtley or Ms. Vales.
I think it's 6 members plus you, right?
Yes, 6 members plus me. Yes,
We
thank
got
you.
7 of you guys. So I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Vales. We have a couple of pharmacy technicians for emergency hearing. Up first, though, we have, you can see on our ASBP boardroom, we have an applicant who is applying for their pharmacist license in the state of Arkansas. I'll turn it over to Ms. Vales for a brief overview.
Yes, Corey Hutton is here. He has applied for an intern license with the state of Arkansas. He is a student at University of Tennessee Health Science Center in Memphis.
Just graduated.
And he has a job lined up at Baptist Health. He did in his application disclose a recent arrest. I'm going to let him explain most of the details of that, but it is a DUI from January 25th, 2024 from Oxford, Mississippi. From his statement, he went through a roadblock and was to provide his license and registration, and they had him pull over. The officer told him that he was, the vehicle smelled like marijuana. He did not have any drugs on him, but he did end up going to court on that. He pled guilty to the DUI with his intention was to be able to get it expunged off his record at a later time. But he did plead guilty and his license was suspended, and he attended a Mothers Against Drunk Driver class. And I'll let him explain from there the situation with the DUI since he's here. There you go.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
My name is Corey Hutton, and I'm here to tell the date of the incident on January 25th of 2024. I was leaving from the hospital. I was on rotation, and I was on my way to get my haircut. I picked up my roommate as we get our haircut together, and I also picked up my uncle who was coming from work. My uncle was smoking marijuana outside of his workplace, and he also continued smoking while he was in the car. I dropped him off at his house. We headed towards Oxford, and we encountered the roadblock. We thought we would be okay because no one was under the influence. There were no drugs in the car, nothing like that. We, as it was our time to go through the roadblock, the officer asked me for my license and registration, in which I provided, and he told me to pull up. I pulled up wondering what it truly could be. I had a suspicion of what it was, but I was trying to see. He didn't tell me at the time. So I pulled up, and then he asked me, why do you think I pulled you over? And I stated that I'm 100% not sure, but I'm 85% sure that it's the smell of the car. And he said, yes, can you please step out? So I stepped out of the car. He asked me to do, I believe, 3 or 4 field tests, which he said I did great on. I don't think that he could give me like a real answer as to how well I did, but I think that was just like a general statement of what a police officer would say when someone is doing a field test. He asked me, do I have anything on me because there is a very strong smell. I tried to explain to him that I had just dropped off my uncle like maybe 20 minutes prior, and he was smoking before and while he was in the car. So he asked me, did I have any drugs on me? I said no. I don't want to say I don't think that he believes me, but because of the smell was just so pungent, because my uncle literally just got out of the car, he asked me, well, he didn't ask me. He took me in, he took me into booking. And right before we went into booking, he kept asking me, do I have anything on me? Because at that point, if I entered the jail and I had something on me, then it would be a felony. And I consistently told him, I don't have anything on me. There is nothing on me. There is no one under the influence. This is literally a misunderstanding. So I went into booking. The police officer waited until one of the workers or employees at the jail did a complete strip search. After it was completed, he told the officer that he absolutely had nothing on him. And because of how I was brought in, I did have to stay for a certain amount of hours to, I guess, not be released if they really truly thought that I was under the influence. During my court dates, I had spoke with some of my family members. Some of them are lawyers. Some of them just work in the law world. And they told me to just plead guilty to this one, and then you can get this expunged off your record. They thought that this would be the best thing to do because I was applying for my license. I was applying for a state license as well as applying for the NAPLEX. They believe that this would be the best bet for me. Thank you.
And I'm sorry, what was your name again, sir?
My name is Corey Hutton.
Corey Hutton.
Yes.
I'm curious, did this happen in Mississippi actually, but you're a student at Memphis?
Correct.
Is that correct? So have you discussed this with the Mississippi Board of Pharmacy yet?
I have not.
Okay, you know they're going to find out about this and they're probably going to want to talk to you about it as well.
Oh, absolutely. When I was learning the law at the UT, our last week we had a law review, and in that law review, it was a slide that lists all of the consequences that could occur to a pharmacist and what needs to be reported to the board. So this was a DUI was one of them. This isn't something that you should hide. This isn't something that the board is not going to find out, which is why I wanted to be very forthcoming with filling out my application.
And in Tennessee, you didn't ever have any registration, did you?
No, we as an intern, we don't have any license in Tennessee.
That's right. So just for the board members, just so you guys, if any of you weren't aware, in the state of Tennessee, there is not an intern permit. Students that are in pharmacy school, whether they're working or on rotation, they do not have any registration with the board. So the Tennessee board, his home state, may not have had anything on this or known about it. Mississippi, I'm sure it will come up for him at some point in Mississippi. But he was forthright on his application with us and submitted his paperwork for that.
And can you remind me again why he's applying for an internship in Arkansas? Is it for a rotation, for a job?
Mm-hmm.
He's applying for his intern license initially, but he's starting a residency and hoping to also get approval if he is approved to be an intern to be approved for his pharmacist license once he passes NAPLEX. But the intern license would let him practice in his residency until he passes NAPLEX.
Thank
Can I
you.
make a quick comment? Before I moved here, it wasn't told to me that I had to have both an intern license, or at least a Arkansas license, as well as the NAPLEX. So when I moved here for a week, I got a call from my RPD, and he let me know that I could not start working until I passed the NAPLEX and I have at least an intern license.
Okay. Board
Have you
members,
taken NAPLEX already?
It is scheduled for July 17th.
I think I saw Dr. Kraus have his hand up as well.
Yeah, I was wondering if the school in Tennessee and the people there, are they aware of all this?
They are not. I did tell my actual law professor, but I didn't write anything to the board yet. However, I will be applying to take the Tennessee MPJE, and I will be disclosing this information on the application.
any other questions? Mr. Simpson's got his hand up. Harold, you're on mute.
Not yet.
Mute, okay. Now, how about now?
Yes, sir.
What was the result of the court appearance?
The result was my license was suspended for 120 days, which I believe ended on June 25th. I believe, but however, I have not been driving since. I even got dropped off today, just out of respect for the ruling and me pleading guilty to the offense.
Okay, thank you.
Did you attend a mother's?
Absolutely. I was instructed to attend a Mothers Against Drunk Driving course, which was a one day event where we got to listen to multiple people testimonies about how drunk driving has impacted them and their families, as well as just bystanders on the street.
And Dr. Kirtley could explain it more, but even if you get this expunged, a lot of boards, they can see it and you have to go ahead and say that you did it. I mean, it's fine to get it expunged, but it doesn't really go away. So John or Dr. Kirtley, you might explain that.
And Dr. Mack, he has been forthright. I mean, from the beginning, letting us know this is going to come back. But for you, it appears, and I don't say this to badmouth anyone, but I think that some attorneys may not understand that for like licensure agencies, if you're going to be a school teacher or, you know, a bus driver or a pharmacist or a nurse, like we would still see potentially expunged convictions in the court. And a lot of that depends on exactly how the court handles it, like how they put it in the system or anything else. So just be aware that in the realm of pharmacy, most of us that are boards that would see it even after expungement would see it. You check, yes, I've had a record expunged. And then, you know, you can explain it. So the expungement does help, but it doesn't completely blind it depending on the state agency and their state law on how they can see that.
Thank you. I noticed that on the application that I was doing, it was asking me, have I ever pled guilty or has anything been expunged? So I understand that this is probably will not be the first time I have this conversation.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions? Any other questions for Mr. Hutton?
No, so we're just asking for the board's approval to whether or not to grant this application. So he can go ahead and take the NAPLEX and take his law exam here and with the state of Arkansas.
Okay, so board members, any discussion? Or is anyone willing to make a motion around this request? Dr. Newsom?
I'll make it.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay, I would like to make a motion that we accept his application.
Okay,
Gotcha.
so we have a motion from Dr. Newsom. Dr. Kraus, was that a second?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir. So any other discussion? If not, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. We will dismiss Dr. Hutton and Ms. Vales has a couple more for you that are technicians.
All right, the next one I have for you is Amy Ferguson. She's a pharmacy technician. Her PT number 15940. Miss Ferguson was an employee of Walmart. She was terminated for theft of merchandise. There's 7 occasions where she stole items from or didn't pay for items from Walmart where she was working. All of those different incidents amount to transactions of under $20. But this started an investigation since she worked in the pharmacy. They suspected diversion. I'm going to play for you some videos that the Walmart closed caption television system pulled on her that show suspicious behavior. And then at the end of that investigation, Walmart did an inventory and they were short some of the medications. Alprazolam, they were short 73 pills, clonazepam 31 pills, lorazepam 20 pills, and tramadol 151 tablets. And if you notice on the video, alprazolam is one of the bottles from the inventory that she seemed to be manipulating. I guess that's the correct term. The video does not show definitively her diversion, but her behavior is suspicious. And again, they terminated her for stealing inventory or Walmart merchandise, but we were concerned as they were with the behavior. And I'm going to play you that video. There's several videos, short videos that I'd like you all to look at before you consider this. Give us just a second. You all see that video?
Yes.
Okay.
We are supposed to be looking at the lady in the bottom,
Yes.
right? Thank you.
That's the first video. And this is a different suspicious incident. The third incident, she's there on the left of your screen. All right, so those show some incidents that, as again, I said, were not definitive, didn't show specifically diversion. But she was again terminated for theft of property misdemeanor. Would be a misdemeanor offense for 7 occasions in which she stole products belonging to Walmart without paying for them. I have sent Ms. Ferguson a voluntary surrender on June 19th, asking her to review it, sign it, and return it to me within 5 days. And she did not. Therefore, we are seeking emergency suspension of her license due to these allegations.
I'm not sure I saw much on the video. Did you guys see anything that, I mean, I saw her kind of, I don't know, spending a lot of time in certain areas and
Yeah,
some
Dr.
bottles
Jolly,
in it.
That's
Looked
what I was gonna say. She stayed a little too long in those bays. I mean, techs would be working. You could see one grab over ahead of her. It just seems like she was doing whatever. I don't know, but she was either trying not to work or staying in the bays way too long, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, part of the summary that we had gotten from the employer is that they believe that she was blocking video to potentially surreptitious activity of potential diversion. They did not realize that until after they had already terminated her employment due to the theft of other retail products. We believe this is another case of like skip scanning, when you're doing self-checkout and you just skip over some of your items. You guys have seen that before on at least one occasion. So it was after she had been terminated when they went back and looked at video and went, we don't have necessarily the best video, but there is suspicious activity here and we are missing the medications in the area of the video itself. With her basically refusing to reply to us, our thing was, well, if we know we have theft of other retail products from the employer, generally the board has instructed us, go ahead and take them out of practice until we can talk to them in front of the board to see if they want to continue being a technician and if that would be approvable.
So the consideration today is emergency suspension with an opportunity for her to still have a hearing before the board at a future date.
Yes.
Any questions or comments or discussion?
Just to answer, sorry, am I supposed to raise my hand? This is my first Zoom one.
No.
The only thing that I saw, I felt like I was looking at her shoes for an extended period of time, but I did see, I think in the second video that there was, when she had a box of things that she was putting up, and then at one point it did look like she took a bottle off the shelf and either stuck it in her pocket or like down in a place where it hadn't been before. That was the only thing I was able to pick up.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Mr. Simpson?
Am I right in assuming that if we take this emergency suspension, she'll receive a notice and have an opportunity to request a hearing? And that hearing will be not only regarding the temporary suspension, but whether her license should be terminated.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Okay. So if there's no other discussion, and I don't want to rush people, okay, Dr. Kraus?
Oh, I was just going to make a motion that we do a temporary suspension until she decides to show up.
All right, so we have a motion to suspend, do an emergency suspension of her technician permit. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Newsom. All right, if there's no other discussion, then I'd like to call for a vote. Those in favor of the motion to suspend her permit, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
All right, thank you. I have another two more. The next technician is Kelsey Ray Stevenson Shelton. Her PT number is 03036. It was reported to the Board of Pharmacy by Wood Springs Pharmacy that Ms. Shelton had been diverting medications, including controlled substances. There were multiple incidences of diversion that were discovered and recorded on video, including processing, counting prescriptions for a family member. The medications were placed in bags without following the proper procedure, and the pharmacist was not performing a final check or processing them through the pharmacy point of sale. Ms. Shelton left the store with these medications in a pharmacy bag. The medications were then reversed and the field deleted from the pharmacy operating system later at another date after the medications had already left the pharmacy with Ms. Shelton. And for some of the prescriptions, the process was repeated on multiple occasions. It was found that Ms. Shelton initiated and completed several manual fills of tramadol 50 milligram tablets without valid prescriptions via the pharmacy robot filling system. The unauthorized manual fills were placed in reprinted label bottles from prior dispensings of the medication for at least one of her family members. These manual fills were labeled incorrectly from past prescriptions and then were placed in bags and taken from the building by Ms. Shelton. The prescriptions were again never checked by a pharmacist or processed through the point of sale system. Ms. Shelton took 2 prescriptions for herself and several for her family member from the pharmacy without processing them through the point of sale system and simply marking them as completed in the system. Those prescriptions were never paid for and were taken from the pharmacy by Ms. Shelton. All of those events happened around or before June 12th. Ms. Shelton admitted to everything I just read off to you. And she admitted to performing each of those acts. And I have also likewise sent her a request for voluntary surrender of her pharmacy technician license. We did hear from her. She called and said she was going to sign it, but we have not received it as of today's date. She was terminated from Wood Springs, no longer working. But we felt under those circumstances that since I haven't received that voluntary surrender back, that we would add her to the list today, and we are seeking emergency suspension for her technician license.
Thank you, Ms. Vales. Any questions for Ms. Vales or for board staff? Would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we a temporary suspension license.
Thank you, Dr. Boone.
I can second.
Dr. Mack with a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. One more for emergency suspension. This is on Robin Phones, F-O-N-E-S. Her technician license is PT0773. She is a pharmacy technician in Ashdown, Walgreens. On June 19th, she was pulled over by a City of Little River, County of Little River officer for speeding. And they pulled her over and ran her in ACIC, and she had an active warrant out of Polk County, Arkansas for hot checks. Therefore, they placed her into custody for that outstanding warrant. They searched her incident to that arrest, and in her purse, she had controlled substances that were not hers. They were in a pill bottle. The pill bottle had someone else's name on it. Inside the pill bottle, there was 30, according to the officer, 30 green clonazepam, 1 blue clonazepam, and 2 white hydrocodones. We do have a picture of the pills that confirms that assessment by the officer. Ms. Bones did not have a prescription for any of those and said she was holding them for a friend. She was charged with possession of controlled substance, Schedule 2 and Schedule 4. Again, I have talked to her and she has an attorney. and she is declining to sign the voluntary surrender. I will say she was issued a technician license back in 2018. She did get a waiver. She had something on her background from 1993. Not a drug-related offense.
And the possession charge is a felony charge?
One's a felony and one, I believe, is a misdemeanor.
Any additional questions or comments? Board members?
Make a motion to suspend.
Okay, so we have a motion to suspend. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Dr. Newsom. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
We have one other matter.
Well, two other matters. One is we had been asked when the October board meeting was by a couple of you guys, and we had had that meeting set for October 8th and 9th. That's the date that we have on our state calendar and on our webpage for everybody. I know Dr. Jolly, I think, is going to have to miss part of that, or that first day at least, from a trip, but would be here on day number 2. We discussed that with him when he was president. So that's just what we have on the October calendar to make sure you guys have it marked. The other thing is we thought we were going to have another emergency suspension today, but we received a voluntary agreement of suspension without admitting to any wrongdoing. But it is in the matter of pharmacist Karen Bond, PD 09238. Very short version of what we would have is that there was a significant violation of a patient's privacy rights, to the point where staff felt it was necessary to ask this pharmacist not to practice at this time. And we're just asking you to accept this voluntary agreement of suspension. And Dr. Mack had already let us know that she would recuse from this decision.
Okay, so Dr. Mack will be recusing. Do we have any other questions or discussion? Mr. Simpson?
Yeah, what happens next if we do this?
Yeah,
So
really.
This will basically accept her voluntary suspension, her agreement to suspend her permit. At some point, either she could request the board to consider this suspension to get her license reactivated, or board staff could bring her in and notice her up for a full hearing to see if the board wants to take any additional action other than just a voluntary suspension to get it on the books.
I think the voluntary suspension for me is fine. I don't know what anybody else thinks, but I think it's a HIPAA violation that she's doing it for, right, Doc?
Yes.
So I don't know.
It would also be a violation of our rules, of course. It gets more convoluted than just a simple violation in the way it was spread or shared.
Right.
It was a breach, HIPAA breach.
Yes.
I mean, it's going to be handled elsewhere as well, right?
It very well could be. We know that she's been terminated from her employer, and we understand that the person the breach was against may be seeking legal action as well.
I think we ought to take, in my personal opinion, I think we ought to just take her voluntary suspension and see what falls out, and then when she wants it back, we can, see if we want to do anything extra based on what's gone down. That's just my thinking though.
Main thing today is we just want to be sure you guys would accept the suspension rather than us having to immediately notice a hearing.
I think it'd be too soon for a notice of hearing.
So you need a motion to accept the voluntary surrender?
Yes. Or
Okay.
Suspension, not surrender.
So moved.
Suspension. I'm sorry.
Second.
So just to clarify, the motion is for a voluntary suspension.
Yes.
We have a motion by Dr. Newsom and a second by Dr. Kraus. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Okay. With Dr. Mack's recusal, motion passes 5-0 unanimously. I guess I should ask anyone opposed. I'm sorry. No. Okay, motion passes.
I have a question.
Yep.
Yes.
Are those just like indefinite when they like,
They can be. We have voluntary suspensions where if you are suffering from an addictive disease, you've been impaired at work, you've diverted, they usually include language that you're going to get a mental evaluation and potential treatment for the board. In this one, it is just a simple, no declaration or admission of guilt, but agreeing not to practice in lieu of a hearing or other disciplinary action at this time. So it could be indefinite. We've had some of those in the past that they basically lasted forever. And then we have had some in the past where they lasted just until we could get someone in for hearing.
so unless she decides she wants to practice again, it's just kind of done?
Most likely, yes.
All right. Any other board business?
That's all we've got for you guys. We really appreciate you getting on with us.
Thank you for your time.
Good to
Y'all
see
have a good
you.
week.
Thank
Good
you.
to see everyone.
All right.
Yep,
Take
get ready
care.
for the rain.
Bye-bye.
Oh, yeah.
See y'all.
Yeah.
Thank you all.